Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks everyone for coming along. Just a few bits of housekeeping before we get going. Just to remind people, if you're not speaking, then please just pop yourself on mute, so there's the background noise is taken away. It can be a little distracting. We are going to be recording the Zoom, so if you didn't want to be in the video at the end, then please do just turn off your camera just now, so we don't capture you. And finally, if there are any questions as we're going through, then please do pop them into the chat, and we can pick them up as we're going along, and we'll have a bit of a Q&A at the back end of the coffee, so we can ask Austin our questions then. With that, I will pass over to Austin. So Austin, thanks again for joining us, and I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, 2 seconds. I'm just going to turn off my notifications so we don't get interrupted.
Oh, sure.
Thanks for having me again. So I'm just going to talk about capturing great footage, video footage on a smartphone. So I've got some sort of tips that I've kind of picked up over the last wee while. Excuse me if I'm looking down. I've got a load of notes, so that's why I'm not looking up at the camera. So apologies for that. Okay, so the first thing is I would say don't shoot vertical video. Obviously, most monitors, TVs, websites use landscape, so I would always tend to shoot landscape unless you are doing something specifically for like Instagram, Facebook stories. Obviously, you want to shoot vertical for that because you use the real estate in terms of the way you're filming it is the way that the video will be produced in the end. So that's the only time I would shoot vertical. But if you're shooting video for website, general pieces, maybe to send out emails to people, always shoot landscape. Next tip is to use the maximum resolution. So most smartphones, or most modern smartphones, shoot 4K now. So I would always recommend shooting 4K. The reason for that is when you are editing and post, what you can do is you can crop in. So you can basically zoom in up to 4 times, and you could still not lose any quality. Generally, most people will output their footage at 1080p, which is sort of full HD. You can actually output to 4K, but a lot of people don't have 4K devices, so there's not really any point, and most people don't really see the difference between 4K and 1080. So I would say always shoot 4K, but the bad thing about that is you've got to have a lot of storage on your phone, because 4K video files are absolutely massive. So I shoot a lot of weddings, and I always shoot 4K. And an average wedding, obviously I'm not shooting on a smartphone, but an average wedding, I'll shoot about 250 gigabytes of footage. So that's a lot of footage. So you need to bear that in mind if you're shooting 4K. Make sure you've got enough storage on your phone. In terms of actually shooting videos, there's a couple of options. You can use either a tripod, or you can shoot holding the camera. The only issue with that is you do get a bit of shake. So in terms of shooting holding the camera, what I would say is if you don't have any devices to help stabilize, and I'll come on to that in a minute, use both your hands. So sort of grab the camera like so, and it just gives you a bit more stability rather than holding it with one hand and you get a bit of shake. So always try and hold the camera. You can get some cases that have a bit that you can clip on, so you can actually hold it like that, just to give you a bit more stability. So 2 hands is always the best way to go. In terms of tripods, if you're shooting something that's static, like I don't know, maybe you've made a pot, for example, you've made some sort of plate or something like that, and you want to shoot some video of that, you could obviously shoot it from the tripod. You can get little adapters to sit on the end of the tripod that hold your phone. So something like that would work quite well. In terms of getting moving footage without actually holding the camera, there's a couple options there. You can buy what's called a gimbal. So gimbals are little, you've probably seen them, little handheld devices that you clip your phone into, and when you move about, it keeps the phone completely steady. So that's something to think about if you're wanting to invest in some equipment. These, you can get these on Amazon starting from sort of £50–60 upwards. But the one I'd recommend is by a company called DJI, who make the drones. I think it's called the DJI Osmo. I might be wrong. It's about £120, but it's a really good piece of kit if you're looking to get something that you can connect to your phone to move about and take a bit of footage. Something else to bear in mind, and it's actually related to what I was saying about switching off my notifications there. Switch your phone into airplane mode, because there's nothing worse when you're recording a video and you get a text message through, or you get a notification of some sort and you hear that bing noise. So always put your phone into airplane mode, and it just means that you don't get any distractions. The other thing to bear in mind as well is make sure your phone's fully charged, because when you're filming, it drains the battery quite considerably. So just make sure you've got either a power bank connected to the phone, or you've got enough charge. You're not going to run out halfway and kind of screw up your filming. I've covered the storage part, so that's cool. In terms of actually filming the footage, so I don't know if a lot of you were on the call I did a couple of weeks ago, but we talked about framing and the rule of thirds. That applies to video as well. So when you're framing your subject, you know, try and think about the screen cut up into sort of three lines, and have the subject here on the left, the middle, or the right of the picture. It's more aesthetically pleasing to the eye if you do that. So that's something to bear in mind. And something else that's also relevant to the photos is don't use the digital zoom, so you know, the pinch to zoom, because what you're doing then is you're losing the quality. The more you zoom in with that, unless your camera has got a built-in 2x zoom, for example, which a lot of the cameras do, try not to use the pinch to zoom, because as I say, you do lose a bit of the quality around that. Something else that applies to the photography side of things as well is around lighting. So we spoke a couple of weeks ago about you know, thinking about your lighting when you're taking your photos. That's exactly the same with video. You want to make sure you've got decent lighting. Obviously in this room at the moment I've got a window to my left, so you've got a bit of nice light coming through. There's no other light, it's just natural light that I'm using. You can use obviously natural light from a window. If you've got studio lights, by all means use those. Try not to use the overhead lights, you know, in your room, because you don't get a good picture with that, and you end up getting a lot of noise. So natural light or studio lights for that kind of thing. Exposure and focus. So obviously smartphones are made to make it easy to take photos. So what happens is they automatically expose the photo for you, and obviously they do the autofocus as well. So what I would say for video is you want to try and use manual settings as much as possible. A lot of smartphones don't allow you to do manual settings, so what you need to do is download an additional app. So I use an iPhone, and one of the apps I use is called Filmic Pro. It's quite an expensive app. It's about £20, but if you want to do serious video with your smartphone, it's something that I would look at, because it basically gives you the full functionality you would have in a sort of more expensive DSLR or mirrorless camera, but allows you to do it on the smartphone. So you can do manual focus, you can do you know, you can set your exposures, you can set your ISOs, you can do your shutter speeds, that kind of thing. So it just gives you a bit more capability to play about with that. The worst thing about filming is getting the audio right. So obviously bad audio can make really good footage in a film look bad. So if your film has got bad audio, people will turn off, they'll not watch it. So you want to make sure you get your audio spot on. You can record obviously in the built-in microphones in the cameras, but what I would say is use an external audio supply if you can. So whether it's you've got a microphone, a USB microphone that you can plug into your computer, especially if you're doing voiceovers and that kind of thing, you'll get much better audio doing it that way. or if you've got an external audio device like a handheld audio recorder, or even just borrow someone else's phone and plug a lavalier mic, a little clip-on mic onto the phone to capture the audio separately. And what you can do is when you go into post to edit, you can bring the audio from the external file and the footage together, and you can sync it up. So I always record my audio externally when I'm doing weddings, for example, because you get much cleaner audio. You can put a little lavalier mic on your talent, on your groom, or whatever, the person you're interviewing, and then you can bring it in and sync it in post. So it just gives you a lot better audio. The camera audio, I mean, you've got to think you might have a camera that's 10 feet away from the thing that or the person that you're filming, so you're not going to get that crisp audio because the microphone's so far away. So you want to get the audio as close to the subject as possible. Another thing to consider is you can buy clip-on lenses. So if you have a look on Amazon, normally about 20 odd pounds, they're little lenses that just clip onto the end of the camera. And what you can do is you can get like wide lenses, which give you a nice wide view. You can get macro lenses, which allow you to get close-ups of things. So that's something that you can add on as well to get better quality pictures. In terms of your films, some different things to try are time lapses and slow motion. So you'll see time lapses are used quite a lot in video. It just breaks it up, it makes it interesting, and also slow motion, especially if you're doing sort of action shots, you know, if people doing sport, that kind of thing. Slow motion is quite nice, but the thing you've just got to watch not to overuse those, because you can use it too much and it gets a bit boring if you use too many time lapses or too many slow motion clips. But it's just a nice way to break up your film. And then the kind of last bits are around editing. So obviously once you've got your footage and your audio captured, you need to edit it. So I've detailed a couple of apps which I can give the guys details of to send out to you. But one of them's, if you're using an iPhone, is iMovie. It's a free app and it's quite easy to use. You basically just pull your audio and your footage in, and you can play about and cut the footage up. You can add external music, you can add transitions, that kind of thing, and it's dead easy to use. The other one as well, which is on Android as well, is called Adobe Premiere Rush. Very similar to iMovie. Again, I think that one's free as well. And you know, you could basically 10 minutes of playing about with it and you would get the hang of how that works. So I would suggest having a look at those. I mean, there are loads of other editing apps in the app stores you can get, but those are the two main ones I would use if I was doing any editing on my phone. You can also use them on iPads and tablets as well. So if you want a bigger screen, it's something to look at. And then the other app that I mentioned earlier was Filmic Pro. Great app for giving you all the manual functions of using the smartphone. So it's just like using a more expensive camera. So that's something to think about as well. So those are the kind of the main things that I would look out for. So I don't know if you want me to do a sort of 5-point summary, Nick, of the sort of key points. Oh, on mute.
Hi, sorry, completely forgot I was on mute. We'll run through a few questions if that's okay.
Go for it.
So one of the things we've talked about is different lenses or tripods and bits and pieces that we can add on. If you were going to buy one of those things or make that investment, what would be the one that you would go for? What's going to provide us the broadest sort of bettering of our content?
Yeah, so I like movement in videos that I watch. So I would say the gimbal is probably the best thing, and I use the gimbal a lot in videos that I create, because at the moment movement seems to be the in thing. It's funny, it goes through phases with films, videos. Shaky cam was a thing a few years ago. You know, there was a few films came out like Blair Witch Project, that kind of thing, where it was kind of raw, shaky camera, and people like that. But now I like the nice, smooth gliding movements. So the gimbal allows you to do that. I guess it depends what you're filming. You know, if you're filming an action video or something like that, a gimbal's really nice because you can track the subject. But if you're filming something that's static, say you've got, you know, I'll go back to a pot, for example. You made a pot and you want to film that. You can use the gimbal to zoom in and out and get some nice footage of that. But equally a tripod as well to give you, you know, that nice steady footage if it's something that's static that you want to film. So, but I would say the gimbal's probably the best bit of kit I've bought. Yeah.
Okay, and in terms of software, what would be your sort of go-to?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously you need your editing software.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely one of those pieces of one of those applications that I mentioned before. But Filmic Pro, I think, is great. And I mentioned one last week, actually, I forgot to say today. Moment is another one that you can use for photography and video.
Right.
So that's one to look at. It's a bit cheaper. I think it's about £15. It might be a wee bit cheaper than that. But I mean, you think an app at that kind of money is a lot of money when you're buying apps at £1-2. But I guess it depends. It depends what you're looking for. But Filmic Pro is an absolutely brilliant app. And actually, there's a lot of, if you go into YouTube, there's a lot of longer films that have been made. You know, like some, not, I wouldn't say like movies, but feature length films that have been made using iPhones and using those apps to film. So, you know, if it's good enough for those guys, it's good enough for me.
Bro, and in terms of the audio, I know bad audio kills a good video.
Yeah.
If you get to the point where you're reviewing your footage and you realize you've got shocking audio, is there anything you can do? Is there any way that you can, are you able to take that out and, you know, add something else, or is there any trick or way around, you know, utilizing that footage without the audio?
Yeah, so the issue is if you're doing an interview with somebody and your audio's poor, there's not a huge amount you can do. I mean, some of the tricks you would do are you would maybe put some footage over the person that's speaking and get them to record the audio again.
Right.
So, you know, you could potentially say to them afterwards, right, could you go and record that particular piece of audio again and send it over to me, and I'll re-edit it. But if it's a straightforward interview and you've got the audio wrong, you're a bit screwed, really. But yeah, there are ways around it. You can obviously just use pure footage of other things. You know, like they call it B-roll. So if you've got an interview and you're talking about a subject and you throw up some other visuals, that's called B-roll. So you know, you could use something along those lines. But yeah, it entirely depends on what you're doing. But I guess from the community, in the terms of videos that they're making, it's going to be showing the products or maybe explaining about the process. So you could use photos of the products that you're creating, or photos of you making the products, and then just do a voiceover.
And would you recommend, in those sort of product videos, would you recommend smaller, shorter videos linked together, or sort of one longer sort of piece?
Yeah, I think people want small, bite-sized content, and something that I generally do is so if I'm recording a YouTube video at 15 minutes long, I'll record a 15-second introduction and I'll put that out. And what I'll do is I will put that out on my Facebook, but put a link to the YouTube video so that they have to click on the link to take them to YouTube. So it's just a bit of driving people to different places. So for example, you might do something similar. You put a wee snippet on your Facebook page, but get them to click on a link which takes them to the website, for example, where you might have the longer video. So it's just about thinking about your marketing there. But there's people better at marketing than me, but that's something that I tend to do. But definitely shorter, snappier pieces of content, especially with things like Instagram stories where you can have 15-second clips. That's what grabs people. You've got to think about video. You've got to grab attention in the first 5 seconds because people switch off. if you don't grab that attention, they'll just swipe to the next one. So yeah, short and snappy.
That makes an awful lot of sense. And my only final question was about steadier photos, but we'd sort of talked about that by using the two hands and sort of locking that in. Did anyone else have any questions for Austin? Was that a Helen? Go for it.
Unmute.
Hello?
Unmute. Yeah,
There
can
we
you
go.
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, hi. No, you were just saying just then about grabbing attention in the first 5 seconds. Can you give any ideas or tips on how to do that?
Oh, good question. So something I do, I'll relate it to wedding videos because that's generally what I do. So things like drone footage, for example, is something that grabs people. People seem to love drones. So that's something that I would use a lot. Try not to use titles and logos in the first 5 seconds. Think about what you're trying to show. So maybe have the end product right up front, and then what to do is show the end product and then go back to the beginning and show the process of how you got to that end product. Show the end product and then they're like, oh, that looks really cool, I'm going to watch the rest of the video. Whereas if you start off with, this is how I make a X product, might be like, not going to watch that. So it's just about grabbing the attention by showing them what you're trying to get to. So that's generally what I try and do.
Thank you.
Brilliant, thanks.
Yeah.
And was there any other questions just there? No. So
Nick, maybe Austin, I like what you say about tripods. I just want to share this. It's very simple, and when I want to document one of my paintings while I'm painting, I just put this on the desk and has a little belt that keeps the phone, and it's brilliant, and you can move it wherever, however you like, and this is stable image. And I have used it sometimes when I paint and I want to document that part of the process. So tripods, yes, are really good.
Oh, that's
I just wanted to share.
a great little tripod there. That's brilliant. Where did you get that from? Just Amazon?
Yeah, it's a little, but it's very, very on the desk, and you can put on a pile of books from height. And it was a present from a friend, so I'm not really sure how to find it. But
oh, cracking! Oh, that's great. Thank you, Rosario.
It's like anything, you can spend a fortune on products, but you can get cheap products on Amazon. It just depends what you want to do. I mean, some of the tripods that you can buy are like £1,000, but if you're making a TV show, yeah, go and spend £1,000, but you don't need to do that.
So Austin, just to round off, then, what would be your five points for videos on mobiles?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we've kind of covered off the tripod, static shots and gimbals. I think those are the two things, whether you're using a gimbal or a tripod, try and lock down your footage, as best as you can. Lighting, again, lighting's key. Make sure you've got decent lighting, whether you're using studio lights or even a spotlight or something like that, just to give your subject a nice light. You can even use a flash in your phone. We spoke about that the last time I was on, so have a think about that. Audio obviously is key. Absolutely, I would say it's more important than good footage. Audio is probably the number one thing to think about there. Manual settings, try and use manual settings as much as possible. Play about with things, try things. If it doesn't work, put it down to experience and try something else. And then the last thing is get quite familiar with the editing apps. So download one of those free apps that I spoke about before, play about with it. They're actually really easy to use once you get the hang of it. So I would say those are my sort of top 5 points.
Cracking, that's brilliant. Thank you, Austin, and thank you for your time today. It's always nice Nice and concise and to the point with yourself, so that's grand. Before we go, I'll just say a welcome to, welcoming at the end of the chat. But I think we've got a few new people on the call. So if you are new to Artisanry Code, then please do say hello. Drop us a note on Facebook or Instagram or such, and we can get you involved in what we're doing. But thanks again for everyone that came on. We've got our next virtual coffee on Monday next week with Candice talking to us about how we can grow our own social media channels. So do check that out. But thanks again, and we will see you all soon. Lovely.
Cheers.
Thank
Cheerio.
you.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Bye-bye.